So, good afternoon, everyone. I have the hard task to restart the session after the lunch break. I'll try not to tie too much knots with the cables. So, I'm here this afternoon to share with you my concern, but also my hope about Europe being the digital third world. I'm quite happy because the presentation I will share today, I've already shared it a lot in a lot of events for the last 3 years, and I must say that sometime in the past during this presentation people were laughing about me, thinking about Europe being the digital third world. And more I think we see it in our everyday life. If you tried to acquire a ticket for the Oasis comeback in London, you have seen that we are depending of American platform. And a few weeks ago, you have seen also that Mario Draghi, who is a lot more knowledgeable than me about that, said approximately the same thing in his report. So that's the target of this afternoon, that's to share with you why I believe that Europe is the digital third world, why I believe it is a problem, and why I still believe that we can go forward and change for the next 5 years if we do things hard and fast. The first thing which is very important for the digital world, and I'm not saying that, Mr. Draghi is not saying that, is just that you cannot improve what you cannot measure. And it was said more than a century ago by Mr. Kelvin, who invented the way to measure temperature. So I think it's something very important. We have today opportunities, thanks to digital, thanks to innovation, to measure a lot of things we were not able to measure 10 years ago. And of course, if we have the opportunity to measure it, we will have in the future the opportunity to improve it. So that's something I believe important to start measuring. So, how to measure that Europe is the digital third world? It's something that has been shared 3 years ago during the visit of President Biden in Brussels. I've been invited during this visit at a meeting, and the meeting purpose was for digital transatlantic technological companies. And iCare is a digital company. We are transatlantic because we are based in Belgium, because we have also our HQ2 in Houston, Texas. And so I was invited to this conference. And that was the first slide. Of course, Mr. Biden was not there, but that was the first slide of Gina Raimondo, who is still the Secretary of Commerce for President Biden. And this first slide is showing, of course, in gold, the value of the US American technological company. So each circle, each bubble is a company. The bigger is the circle, the higher is the value 3 years ago for this company. Then below, on light blue, you have the same for Asia. And then on the left, you have the same for Europe. So there is no question that Europe is today, was 3 years ago, and I can say that I've not the updated figures, but I can tell you that when I see what has been done in the US, in Asia, in technology the last 3 years, and what has not been done in Europe the last 3 years, I can tell you that the situation is probably even worse today. So Europe is definitely the third world of digital. Definitely in numbers, you see there is less digital company than in Asia or in America, and also in size, in value. Is it a problem? Because a lot of people, when I meet politics, I discuss with them, they don't consider it is a problem. I consider it is a problem. Why do I consider it is a problem? That's very simple. As you can see, Europe is the second largest economy in, if you take the GDP factor. Europe is the second largest consumer market if you take the size of the market after the UE. But in Europe, we have only 12% of the digital platform, and we have only in volume, and we have only 3% of the digital platform in value, which means that we pay for the value of all other platforms. So each of us living in Europe first pay a lot of taxes, but then with the money remaining, we pay a lot of value through digital platform outside of Eurozone. And that's the problem, because we are not investing in our future, we are not investing in creating value, which is the most important for the digital economy. We are not investing in creating digital jobs with high value added in Europe, and we are not providing return on investment to European investors. So, as we say in football, it's not a 6-point game, it's a 9-point game we are losing. We are losing the game for the company, for the value-added point of view, we are losing the game for the job point of view, and we are losing the game for the investor point of view. Why? As I said, I'm lucky or unlucky enough to meet politics sometime, and there is clearly a lack of political vision. It's even easier to say that today because Mr. Breton is no more part of the EU Commission, but that was the vision of Mrs. Raimondo 3 years ago from the US and Mr. Breton from EU. The vision of Mrs. Raimondo was the future of economic is about transatlantic digital companies. I adhere to that. The vision of Mr. Breton was, we have seen during the COVID that we had problem with the supply chain. So the future of Europe is about supply chain. So are we limited to a supply chain importing things that are developed, manufactured outside of Europe and just using it? I think we can be a lot more, to have a lot more of ambition than that. I think it's important. So that's the first thing. We lack of political vision. Hopefully the change in the Commission will help to solve that. Then we lack of ambition. Are some of you coming from the Mons area? Mons is a beautiful small city near the French border, and you know, 50, 60 years ago, Mons was full of mining, Mons was full of steel manufacturing plant and so on. And of course, if you have mine, you have all the rubbish from the mines. And the mines were building mountains like that with the rubbish. And this is the mountain, the terri, as we say in French, of the mine where my grandfather was working. And it was near Mons. And then in the 70s, they decided to use that rubbish to create a motorway. So they filled a river with the rubbish of the coal mine. So this mountain of rubbish of coal rubbish is not existing anymore. So you have a lot of space which is available, and they have decided to create an industrial zone on that. And a bit more than 15 years ago, a small American company called Google came and asked to acquire the whole industrial zone, to have a farm, a server farm. And of course, we in Mons laughed about that. We said, install server farm on a full industrial zone? No way. We will only sell them half of the industrial zone. And the other half, we will sell it to store industrial garbage. And of course, the industrial garbage company has chosen this industrial zone for the quality of the manpower, for the quality of our university, for the quality of our investor, not at all for the lowest price possible in Belgium or even in Europe. Okay? And guess what? 2 years ago, Google was full, and they had to extend. And they decided to look for another location to extend because it was not possible to extend there anymore. And hopefully, we had another location near Charleroi, which is 50 kilometers away. So they stayed in Belgium. But for the same price, with the same mistake of lack of ambition, they would have moved somewhere else. The third point is maybe more interesting for geeks like you. We raised money at iCare 2 years ago, and we had discussion with a lot of investors. And like Odoo, like many solutions today, our platform, IC, is online. And one of the investors asked us, there is a problem in your business plan. You have not calculated the cost of the people who will install your platform on the customer computer. And they asked me the question, who will install it? And I answer, the same person who installed Google on your computer. And they answer to me, but nobody installed Google on my computer because it's a website. It's not a software. Okay, so even 3 years ago, even if a lot of investors, that's true that there is typical investor for tech in Europe, more outside of Europe, but there is very few in Europe, and even those who are interested in tech not necessarily know about tech. So that's also something important. We also need investors, we also need investors specialized in tech. If you look at the report of Mr. Draghi, who was unveiled a few weeks ago, Mr. Draghi don't say something else. He just say, we need to invest, we must invest massively, we must invest fast, because if we don't invest massively and fast, we will remain/become the third world of the digital economy. Sorry for the bankers, but I still have a lot of feedback from bank people saying economy is back, economy is going well. There is a lot of requests to finance new office building. So the quality of an economy, the vitality of an economy is still unfortunately measured on the number of square meters of office building you build instead of the number of line of code you code. I'm not saying that all bankers are like that. Again, if we talk about investor, you know, in French, we have the bon père de famille concept, which is managing the money of third parties, as an example of a company, like if you manage your own money. And if you look back 10 years ago, managing en bon père de famille was, if I had invested 1,000 euro in Tesla, Apple or Google, everybody would have said, I'm not a bon père de famille. I'm not a good family man because I take a lot too much risk. But if I had invested the same money in Maybe if you are international, you don't know this company. In Proximus, in bpost, in BNB, you would have been considered 10 years ago as a good family man because it was safe. The difference is that with these 1,000 euro, if I had invested 1,000 euro 10 years ago in Tesla, I would have 13,000 euro today. I would have 8,000 euro for Apple and 6,000 euro for Google today. And that was considered as a bad investment for my family 10 years ago. If I had invested the same money in Proximus, I would have 300 today. In bpost, I would have 182, and in BNB, I would have 128. So who is the good family man? The one taking risk or the one buying things without any risk and losing quite everything in 10 years? So that's also something very important to say. Today, those who do not take risk lose. It's not a question of remaining or protecting. If you do not take risk today in business, in investing, you lose everything. The world is changing faster than it has never changed before. So it's very important today to follow the pace of the world. If we don't follow the pace of the world, it's not a question of risk, it's a question of existence. I'm not the only one to say that. Mr. Draghi said that, but also Mr. de Castries, some of you may know him. He is the former CEO of AXA. AXA is an insurance company. The target of insurance company is to insure risk. So I think this guy knows about risk. And what he say is Europe has been far away from US, and you can include Asia also, for the last decade because we have lost any attraction for risk. We are too much risk averse. And risk at any level. I said risk about investor, I said risk about banks, I said risk about CEO managing their company, I'm saying risk about student becoming entrepreneur and launching their own company, like Fabien did with Odoo, like I did with iCare. That's something we lack today. I see there is some very nice car there. We are in Brussels. We have an Audi plant in Brussels, and this plant is closing. Is it closing because Belgium is too expensive in terms of salary? I don't think so. It's closing because they don't sell this car. Nobody wants to buy this car. When I was young, I was dreaming of buying an Audi. Today, somebody of 20 years old is not dreaming of buying an Audi anymore. Why? Because a car is not a car anymore. A car is a tech tool today. A Tesla is a tech tool. All the Chinese cars arriving on the market are technological objects. They are not cars anymore. And I'm saying Audi because we have this example close from here, but all European car manufacturers did the same mistake, not taking risk, remaining doing car like they did 10, 20, 30 years ago, and losing the revolution from a car to a technological object. There is, since yesterday, a lot of articles in the newspaper about Stellantis, which is in the same situation. Volkswagen Group is in the same situation. 2 weeks ago, Mercedes started a profit warning because they are in the same situation. We are in this situation because of lack of vision, because of lack of investment in technology, and because of product being not as good as our competitor product today. That's as simple as it is. The first way to sell a product is to have the best product. But I'm not only talking about others. I'm also talking about iCare. At iCare, we started to have employee shareholder of the company in 2008. It was 16 years ago. And the first employee of the company by then invested 7,500 euro in the company in 2008. And in 2014, he sold his share. And he sold his share for 45,000 euro. So he multiplied by 6 the value of his investment. And he was very happy about that. He was still an employee of iCare, and everybody thought he did a great bargain by then. And what he did with this money, because iCare, of course, was risky, and he reinvested this money in buying a house, because a house is a lot less risky in his opinion. At least then it was a lot less risky. And what happened? That's very simple. If he had kept his share, today the value of this share should be probably around 10 million euro. So the 45,000 of 10 years ago, 70,500 of 15 years ago would be 10 million today. And the house he bought with this 45,000 euro, for the people in Belgium, unfortunately, it is situated in the Vesdre Valley. Okay, this is a valley with a lot of flooding in 2021, and so this house value is maybe the same than 10 years ago, but for sure not higher than 10 years ago. So again, something which seems to be the very safe investment, the house, made less return on investment than something who seemed to be a lot more risky, share in a startup company by then, like iCare. So, is there a way to get out of this situation? I do believe so. One way to get out, first, of course, it's to go hard and to go fast, meaning to invest a lot in tech and to invest fast in tech. And the other thing is, we have no time to lose to discuss with each stakeholder anymore. We have to have all the stakeholders of economy and technology working together from the beginning. What does it mean? It means, of course, we need entrepreneurs. So I see a lot of young people in the room. I can only advise you, don't hesitate to take the risk if you are not yet an entrepreneur, if you have an idea, if you want to launch your own company. If it's a tech company, it will work. There is no question about it. So don't hesitate to launch your own company. But alone as an entrepreneur, you will not be able to make it. So of course, you need innovation. You need technology. You can get it by yourself, you can get it from the university, from research center, buying IP and so on. But in any case, a fast-growing company today is company with IP, is company with technology. So of course you can start being an entrepreneur in something else. There is no problem. We need restaurant, we need car dealer, we need a lot of other companies which are not technological, but this company will not grow as fast as a technological company. And today, European economy needs fast-growing company. So that's very important. Then, entrepreneur, of course, university or any kind of support for the IP, for the technology. Of course, government, because in Europe, unfortunately, we lack of technology, but instead of pushing to enable our technology to develop, we push rules to protect our user against the technology of others. And this protection destroys more value than the value they protect. So that's also very important, that we need support of government in a European point of view, but also in a local point of view. That's also very important to have government, or at least public, on board. We need, of course, money. If you need to go for a technological company, for a technological startup, you will need to develop. When it's developed, you will need to sell, you will need to deliver, and so on. You will probably need money. So you need risk capital. We have not enough risk capital in Europe, and you will need a good relationship with banks. And the last one is corporate. What is about corporate? That's very simple. The bigger company who succeeded a few years ago have also a role to play in that. Meaning that a company like Odoo is playing that role today, doing that Odoo experience, inviting a lot of other companies for the ecosystem, building the ecosystem, allowing a lot of other entrepreneurs to start their own company in the flow of Odoo. And that's the same role that iCare is also trying to play in the industrial technology sector. That's the role of corporate company, bringing entrepreneurs together, becoming partner, becoming customer of these startup companies. A very important point also, and I've spent a lot of time on the previous slide to show the problem we had in Europe about that. That's not me. That's Tesla. So, I'll restart. Something we protect or we think we protect in Europe, but we have to take it as positive instead of thinking it is negative, is the world is today smaller than ever. I met arriving here people from everywhere in the world. There is many language spoken in this Odoo experience. There is people from everywhere. If you look, unfortunately, we know about history from the different wars. Why? Because in the past, people only wrote books, they wrote things about history when there is a war. And what we know about the history of the war is that since the world exists until the beginning of the 20th century, armies moved at the same speed. And the speed was the speed of walking or the speed of a horse, not faster. And the last century, we have accelerated the speed of displacement, of moving, of traveling, a huge step forward, because we have first moved for the train, then for the car, then for the plane, and what's next. Meaning for that my grandparents, when they married, they traveled to the Belgian coast by train, which was a one-day travel for a few hundred kilometers. My parents, when they married, they traveled to Spain by car, which was 30, 40 years ago, a one-day travel for 1,000 kilometers. And I'm not married, but when I travel to India, I travel to Africa, I travel to Australia. It's a one-day travel for several thousand kilometers. So the travel speed has accelerated a lot during the last century. As the size of the world is the same, it means we can reach a lot more locations in the world with the same time of travel, meaning that the market for any startup today, specifically in technology, because you don't have hard things to deliver, the market is the world. Any startup can deliver, can target the world as a market. Any technological startup can target the world as a market. As I said, we have increased a lot the speed of displacement, the speed of travel during the last century, and it's due to what is called the industrial revolution. And industrial revolutions are not only about industry. Industrial revolution is the name of the historical period we live in. It starts in the beginning of the 19th century, and it's still pending today. and we have faced 4 different industrial revolutions since then. The first industrial revolution was the steam power. So before that, if we need to make something, to move something, the power was human power or animal power, using human arms, using a horse, using a cow to move things, to create power. In the 19th century, we started to develop the steam. And in order to have steam, you need coal and you need iron. Okay? And especially in Belgium, especially in the south of Belgium, we were the second area, the second geographical area in the world to go for that revolution, and we lived from that revolution till the end of the 70s. Okay, so that was the first industrial revolution, and it has shaped the world as it is today. Because before this first industrial revolution, people were living in the countryside. They had a garden, eating their own things from their garden, having their own cow, having their own things to eat, and so on. After that, you create industries, and you need manpower for these industries. So you need to attract people from the countryside to the cities to work in these industries. You need to build houses, so the cities are growing. You need everything related to the city. You need education, because the people are working in the mine and the steel plant. They are not working at home anymore. You need security, so you need police. You need sewage. You need social security if people die or are injured during their work in the industry, and so on. So all the world we know today has been built around this first industrial revolution. And this first industrial revolution lasted for 1 century. Early 20th century, we started the second industrial revolution. And the second industrial revolution is electrical power. Nobody is using steam power anymore today. You have a lot of electrical powered things at home. There is a lot of electrical powered things at work. There is no steam powered thing anymore. And all the people who thought it has no value to invest in this revolution, to move from steam to electricity, are not existing anymore today. And then a third industrial revolution happened in the 50s. And this third industrial revolution is about the computer. What is the computer? The computer is using the previous one, so electrical power, to process data faster than a human brain can do. And again, when the computer was launched, a lot of people, privately, in industry, said there is no value to invest in a computer. So they remain working without computer. Even 20 years ago, when I started to work, I had still a lot of customers not using computer. And I was still facing a lot of suppliers not using computers. 20 years ago, it's not so far. Today, doing business without a computer is very difficult. And we even don't need a computer anymore. We have smartphone, we have tablet, we don't need computers as it was 20 years ago. So again, those who have not invested, those who have not evolved, died. And in industry, the application of the computer was automation. And again, industry that have not been automated the last 20, 13 years are not existing anymore. And today, we are lucky enough, we live in the fourth industrial revolution. So we are lucky enough to live that revolution. And that revolution is about connected objects, IoT, Internet. And the specific thing about that revolution is that it first happened in the private life before happening in the professional life. This means that computer, people first had a computer at work before having a computer at home. Electricity, people first had electricity at work before having electricity at home. Steam, people never had steam at home. Today is the opposite. It means we all received a smartphone, we all use apps before for the private life, before using app for the professional life. And that's what leads to this technological revolution, because there is a huge need to develop apps for the professional life. Lot of people, lot of CEOs say, I have difficulties to find and to keep people working for me. But how do you want to ask to young people using app for every day, for everything in their life, to go back to an office and to do manually or on paper or on Excel things that can be done by an app? That's something important. That's the revolution we are living. We cannot go back because we did it privately before doing it professionally. So there is a huge opportunity today to develop all the tech, all these apps necessary to bring the world, to change the way the world and especially Europe perform. A few words about iCare for the 3 last minutes before the Q&A time. What we did, we started 20 years ago. We parted for our birthday 2 weeks ago. We are a company specialized in what is called predictive maintenance. Maybe you don't know about it, but it's a bit like a doctor house for industrial equipment, meaning we place sensor, we manufacture, we develop and we manufacture sensor that we install on industrial equipment. We connect the data of this sensor to our IC platform, and we run AI on this data in order to predict when the machine will fail, for our customer to replace the machine before it fails, to better manage the risk for safety, for environment, for quality and for cost impact. We have today more than 850 employees worldwide, and we have hired for the last 4 years 1 new colleague every week. We are today hiring 2 colleagues every week, and we have more today than 350 employees who are shareholders of the company. That's for me very important also, because I think it's important to have people on board for the company's success. I already told about it. And the last point, it's maybe a bit technical, but it's quite easy. It's about a customer in the chemical industry. Each blue point is the efficiency of the plant a month. So there is 12 blue points every year, and there is different year on the graph. The green line in the middle is the average of the plant efficiency, and the 2 red lines are the worst and the best months of the year. And end of 2018, this customer has decided to implement predictive maintenance with iCare, and then they started to run for 2 years and all the 2021 year until October, also without any stop. And you can see very easily, even without going into the technical detail, what are the effects of predictive maintenance, because we increased the average productivity of the plant from 62% to 78%. It means 15% more production for the same equipment, or able to produce the same quantity with 15% equipment less. So that's one improvement, and also less variability in the process. That's the 2 red line, where we had a variability of 80% between 23 and 102 in 2015, back to less than 25% today, between 65 and 91. So the customer is producing more, and with less variability than in the past. I'm finished. I'm 5 seconds too late. I think it's not too bad. So we have a Q&A time. I hope you have some.
Do you have the QR code by any chance on your screen? Otherwise, I'll send this to your email and you can quickly open it up.
I'm not connected.
Oh, you're not connected, okay. Because we need to somehow get the QR code up there so they can ask questions, because otherwise with the audience, it's quite complex.
Hi everybody. For those of you that stayed, we have a QR code for the questionnaires. Just go ahead and scan the QR code and you ask your questions directly on the pad.
Sorry, because usually there's like a QR code that
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, so it was a bit of people that want to ask questions stayed, so. One person, great presentation. One person says great presentation.
Yeah.
So while the rest are loading, the first question is, did you use AI to generate your presentation?
Well, not to use to generate my presentation, but I'm using it a lot, and I think a lot of people say AI will have an impact on many jobs, but I think the job which will be the most impacted by AI is the job of a CEO. Because when you are a CEO, you need to decide about a lot of things. You need to decide fast. And so AI can help you a lot to decide faster, to decide better, and to also decide with a more limited team and less consultant. So I think it will be in the next 5 to 10 years a huge difference between CEO leading companies using AI and CEO leading companies without AI. Today we are of course using AI for our diagnostic, but we are using AI to code, we are using AI for legal, we are using AI for sales and marketing, so we are using AI for quite everything in the company.
Very nice. Thank you very much. Staying on that topic, there's a question on if you think AI and ML technology will outperform the market.
That's the question is what is the market?
Yeah.
That's always the same question. But will it outperform the market or not? I don't think is the question. I think in any way there will be a huge growth and a huge impact in the next decade of AI technologies. A lot of jobs of today will disappear, but a lot of new jobs will be created with that kind of augmented intelligence. I mean, if I look back again to my grandparents, when the calculator was invented, they said my parents will be dummies because they will not be able to make mental calculation anymore. If you look at my parents, when Excel file was invented, it was the same. They thought we will not be able to process data correctly anymore because of that. It's always tools allowing to process more data faster and to focus our brain on most important things.
Thank you very much. And regarding just one more question on this topic, how do you see the accelerated adoption of AI and large language models impacting the field service industry?
Yeah, for sure. There is huge impact on field service industry, on a lot of other industries also. But I think again that's the risk of Europe. I think we are late on AI adoption. We are late on AI development, and it accelerates the development and it accelerates the competition. So I think we need to act, we need to adopt, we need to develop, but we need to be fast and to convince people that technology, AI are not bubbles, that's just the future.
Thank you very much. Now switching kind of topic here regarding employee shares. So when you're giving your employee shares, is this an earn-out basis?
No, we do not. We consider that if it's given, it is free. If it is free, it has no value. So we have never gave any share to our employee. We allow them the right to subscribe at the same condition, meaning the same price, the same right, the same obligation, then myself, Arnaud, the co-founder of the company, and external investor. So they have to pay money to get the share, but they have exactly the same right, duty, and price than any other investor.
Very interesting. Thank you very much. And how do you think this improves innovation in giving shares to your employees?
Well, I think especially in 2024, we need to create a company spirit. We need to have company value, and I think the fact to participate to the company success from the share value point of view, but I think also having access to all information, transparency from being a shareholder is helping a lot to commit to the company and to feel confident in the future of the company.
Thank you. And one last question. We have about a minute and a half left. What was the most important thing you focused on during your scale-up phase?
I think it's never believe it's finished or you cross the finish line. The eye care of today has nothing in common with the eye care of 10 years ago, and the eye care in 10 years will have nothing in common with the eye care of today. So always reinvent yourself, always improve yourself, always measure. always look at yourself to say, yes, we did that great, we did that bad. That's not a problem to fail, but you need to learn from your failure and you have to always improve and always deliver better.
Thank you very much. Very insightful. So,
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.